our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. And I am delighted to have with me today Jenny Lee. Now, we haven't had a chance to talk for a while, and she is going to talk about future predictions and maybe some of the other things that come to mind. And you will be able to ask questions as well on the YouTube channels, as well as Twitch and D Live. So remember that. And Jenny is a seer, a multidimensional seer, a psychic medium. She's a remote viewer, and she has a very high degree of accuracy. And that is what's special about Jenny Lee. Welcome, Jenny.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? I haven't seen you for a while or been able to talk to you. I remember we had a show a while ago, and something came up and we weren't able to do it, and then got scheduled recently. But I was watching your show with Kimberly, and that was really, really good. One of the questions that I have, if you don't mind me asking right out the gate here, is I've heard a number of things. You know, they frequently talk about the event. Now, what they mean by the event, I'm not exactly sure. Is that a cataclysmic event as far as you're concerned, or that, you know, related to the GCR or something on that nature? What are you told?
It's a built up event where steps are in place, and then at the top, it's as soon as it's created in the way that we need it created, which is not far away, it's going to be an announcement universal. But I can tell you, particularly, I talked to you about this female energy that was going to be created, and now that abundance is, I felt it started 5 days ago. So, and that was an important part of it. So, and the key activation's been for a while. So all this energy that's going to come to Earth is, and that's why I keep telling people they need to pay attention and look up and pay attention, because everything's happening above us in layers, not just one storm, many storms above, to get things in a balance point that need to happen. So, I mean, and I told you, I think the next step that I'm seeing is the cities, fencing and filtering. There's going to be something that's going to kick it off, that's going to cause a little bit of chaos. But you can also already see that some of the merchandise people have already moved out of those cities because they know it's coming. And so then
are you talking on the West Coast, the East, or just the large cities in general?
Chicago. I'm talking New York. I'm talking California. I'm talking San Francisco. I'm talking LA, especially. A lot of cities that this analogy of trapping the rat in the corner and filtering and putting it, whether they have information, whether they need to be set on a white bus with dark windows, or they need to be set a different direction of demise. Who knows on those paths, but I feel there's a filtration system that's going to start. And another thing, the filtration, which is deciding what information they have, if it's valuable for turning all these pedophiles in. And everything else with what's going on.
Well, do you think that the sound of freedom is really going to be waking people up as
You know what? This is what I'm going to tell you. If I think everybody should take their family, the ones they don't like, whatever. If those people leave that theater not with one dry eye, I'm going to tell you that shot did its job. I'm going to tell you, if you come out of that theater with a dry eye, you have an issue. That's not your relative no more. I'm just telling you.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. Because of this,
yeah,
you change.
Right. And so, it's a total, that's why they love watching TV so much. They're programmed by. So the thing is, what changes is the fact that that's a big, massive drop to the floor situation of like, they don't care. It's not in them. They don't care. I'm just telling you, when you see that, it's really going to show you the difference between the two. And it's something that anybody that you can take or go to the movies with, take them to the movies. Especially the ones that are asleep, because it's something that needs to be brought in front of them to drop them to their knees of a reality.
Well, yeah, I've tried to tell people in the past and they don't believe it, or they don't want, it's like, I don't want to hear that. I don't believe that's true. That kind of thing.
Well, that's that program that's in them that says, don't listen to that. So that's the thing. I mean, it's changing in that way. But so when I think the impeachment process is just to get rid of him in a way that the 3D can understand, he's just going to be gone, and that character will be gone. The whole incident is just going to be used as documentation. So they're going to have to 3D that whole process with Biden situation. So I think that's what they're going to do. And then I think if you see any process or anything going on in the cities, don't get in their way in the military. They know what they're doing. They know where they're going. They don't need anybody's help unless they ask for it. Stay out of their way and just do what they ask you to do. They're not doing this to try to do anything wrong to you. They're just getting the people that they need to get, or beings that they need to get. So just remember that. And then I will tell you something that's changing with me. These download dreams are changing in perception. It's like going from black and white to pure colors of 5D frequency. I'm seeing stuff in detail and different detail, and bright colors combined together that look so much like 5D process, and details of perfect dreams. It's just exact targets, exact areas, but it's just a better view. So things are changing a lot.
I did notice an energetic positive shift, like you mentioned about 5 days ago. I remember Kimberly had said something about waking up and feeling really positive, and like you got hit with some positive energy. That did happen to me as well. I don't remember the exact number of days ago, but I thought, wow, something shifted.
Right.
And so, but we're continuing to get more and more photonic light, correct?
Right. And that's what's changing. And remember, I told you, watch nature, because nature is reacting from that extra light. Look at the trees. I mean, the trees are so green. The fruits that are coming in, everything is just sucking up that energy. And then, like I said, we are not having the planes that fly over, or not spreading bad air no more. It's cleaning it up. And I've been telling people for a while that they're doing that. But I think they're also destroying that bad stuff too. I think it's being destroyed as we speak.
Well, that's good, because it's amazing how much humanity has survived with being showered with poisons and that we eat and drink, and we're still here. It takes quite a bit to knock us out because our spirit is so strong. And the more people connect with their divine spirit, the stronger they are. And that connection, I think, is coming up so much easier than it has in the past.
Correct. It has, and it is changing. And just like what you're seeing on the metaphysical end, the naturopathic end, the herbalist, you're seeing more and more on the media now. Because now they're allowed to be on there and they're allowed to push their stuff and let people. I mean, I've never seen as much as I've seen lately. Natural herbalist, remedies, all this stuff, because they had to hide them before, but now they're not. So everybody needs to listen to what a lot of these videos are telling you, because a lot of those natural ways are the cure.
Exactly.
They are the cure. They were always the cure. That's what nature is here for us, to help us balance. And the opposite end is a tornado that's going to hit. And they're all going to go down with the sinking ship. So, and that's what's happening. And so,
are you talking about pharmaceuticals or okay. The whole medical system is going to.
It's already started.
Yeah, it's going.
And you're going to start to see them flee when they start to put the charges out to the doctors and the nurses.
When they're still pushing that in my state I'm in.
Well, I'm sure, they can try all they want. It hasn't
been stopped.
They're not getting any more checks. Just saying.
Oh, that's good. That's always been the motive. They get paid extra.
Yeah, money. Money will trade in your soul, I guess.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things, and then I've been hearing a lot of stuff, and everybody asks me, is the firmament down? Of course not, the firmament's down. You would trust me, you would know. So there's some intel people saying the firmament's down. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. And we are not in 5D yet either. I mean, you would know.
There are some people that say that. I'm going, what?
Yeah.
You think you're
it's just it's a joke. It's a knowledge of making up stuff and not really documenting, verifying the information. It's just, I think it just leaves that confusion, and they're going to try to confuse you as much as they can till the very end. And the very end is when everything goes down, and I'm talking with internet grid and all that stuff and your phone. The thing is, and then when the TV does come back, none of those food processing restaurants, all of them are not going to be there either. They're not going to have the shows that they have. They're not going to sell you horrible food anymore or poison. It's all going to be gone. And that's why I said, they're going to tear it down and burn it down, and then something new and good is created to replace it already. So that's what, the thing is, and it's not something where people need to just have a fit about it and go, well, they don't have this no more. They don't have McDonald's. They don't have this. I'm like, good.
Thank God.
But you thought it was good.
They're feeding
but
you
it's
human
not.
meat.
It never was. And so the thing is our whole diet, how we eat, how much we need, all that was to occupy the mind, to keep it busy so you weren't paying attention to what everything was happening. And now you need to eat good. You need to
it's hard to eat good, Jen.
Yeah. Well, it'll change.
It is. But yeah, I don't, mean to undermine that statement at all, but I just know that our food, I look at the ingredient list and they have things banned in Europe. I mean, the glyphosate is off the charts, and it's why America has its type 2 diabetes, obesity, and so on, type problems, chronic health problems. It's from our food.
Yeah.
We bought the bullshit about GMOs, which are saturated in, which ruins your gut bacteria, which makes you unable to utilize your food as well as you would under normal conditions. We need real food. If you have the ability to grow your own, do so. And if you
Stay out of the big markets of those bigger grocery
Farmers
stores.
markets.
Go to the locally owned ones that you know the owners. No, for a big franchise. I would not be buying any food from big franchise anymore.
Right. And you know, somebody's saying that farmers markets are so expensive. I've noticed they are a little pricey here, but at least you know what you're getting. They are doing some horrible things. There's this peel designed by Bill Gates, which they can put on certain companies have made contracts with him. They can put it on like avocados or you know, stuff that would think would be really healthy and good to eat, and it saturates it with a poison. And so there's a lot of that going on. So you really have to be pay attention. And that extra, the reason why American food is so cheap is because it's so fake.
Yes.
And so yeah, you're the real thing. You are going to pay more for it. It's just the way it is, and it's not going to be a problem for very long once everything shifts.
Exactly.
I don't like money. Money is been a terrible plague on this entire planet because of the way it was set up and utilized, weaponized against people, really. So
yeah,
we could never get out of.
Yeah, it's never was going to allow you to get ahead.
Exactly.
It was all an enslaved process. Everything with paying a mortgage, car payments, credit cards. There is no doing it right. There was never a do it right way, a path where people think if I go to college and I do this, I'm doing it right. No, there is no doing it right. You know what you can do right with? Your instinct right now. And filter through all those matrix programs that were never going to help you. Because the education system's going to be disbanded too.
Well, they created everybody got all pissed off about the fact talking about forgiving student loans. Do you realize that those loans were taken from your trust account in the first place? And so the bank got it because of your signature to take it out of your trust account, and then they give it to you and make you pay them back, and they never paid a dime for it, and you're paying twice is what it really boils down to. People don't realize that. So, but all that kind of debt and all that kind of thing is going to go away. Isn't that what you get, Jenny?
Yeah, it is. It's soon. I even think the IRS is already there. Because I hear people are getting messages on their phones about telling you not to pay any taxes. So we'll see if more and more of those surface. We'll see what happens.
Colleen Thomas here she said this is I'm the same. I have the same problem. I went to 3 years of naturopathic medical school. I wasn't able to because of the financial situation, and I tried to. This all happened when I was in, and all of a sudden gas prices went up to like $5, $6, $8 a gallon. Anyway,
right.
I was never able to finish, and it's just, and I still have the debt, and it still hangs over my head. And
but that's the whole program.
It's never ending debt.
No, that's the whole thing. But it seems like it's there's hope for you, but there isn't, and that is the matrix of you not looking at other options, of not seeing outside their control, and that's the whole thing. And that has to do with your instinct and thinking positively and making something and not being in fear to do it. That's the whole thing. They keep them down with fear. So it's just something that we're all going to have to change in a different way and see things in a difference. But I think, like, again, I mean, we have a lot of stuff that has to happen. But I think right now we're writing out things happening all the time. But I believe that whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Snapchat or all that, they've been watching that stuff for a long time. And I think they have all that information collective to those people. They're actually involved already. So they know everything. They know where you're at. They know where you're hiding. So that's going to be easier said than done. But I don't think those people who have been caught doing that will get any funding. at
Caught
all.
doing what? What were you?
Anything that had to do with taking down America or this world, and anything to do with.
Oh my God! Yeah, I can't believe how.
Yeah,
how
I
they
don't think
have
they're going to get nothing, and
this
they don't
plan that
deserve
they
it
have.
actually.
No, they don't.
So I think they knew who they had to go after from the beginning, and they know who's involved from the beginning. So that's why I say when you're seeing stuff happen in the cities, just stay out of their way and let them do what they need to do, because they are completely trained for this process.
So the banks have been collapsing.
Yes.
Somebody said,
And you got to watch out for the dollar. I would, and I keep telling people, the dollar, the spirit keeps telling me, when the dollar goes down, everything else goes up. And I mean everything. And I know that, I think France, I thought I heard that they're in the program already, that they're the first ones. Yes.
Yeah, I heard that
So
too.
there's always got to be that first one that's got to be a representative and show how that trigger effect is happening with that situation. So you want to watch
Is that why they hit, those migrants and people that came in to cause all kinds of chaos? Is that why they hit France? Because they were moving in that direction right out the gate? And so now is that what's going to happen here too? Because it's
here's different, because you have to understand you're surrounded in red states all over the world, and will see people volunteer outside those cities. You have to understand they're trapped in those cities. They won't come outside in the country, I'm going to tell you, once this stuff happens. Because those people that they wanted the guns taken away from are armed to the kills.
Yeah.
And they're not going to let them on their land. So I'm just telling you, it's literally, it's putting them in a path that they only have a choice. But I think they have a choice. They should just surrender and be done with it. And give them a certain amount of time and be done with it.
Yes.
And if they don't, then hang them high.
Yeah, they have no intention of changing or doing anything different. And it's like the light always gives the dark to, are you going to do the right thing? It looks like you have a question here. Let's bring that up. Somebody said that if you don't have the title to your house or your car after the grid goes down, that they're concerned about that. I wouldn't be in fear of that.
There's a ton of paperwork on that, but they're going to leasing the actual property. It's a lease of the land for generations of generations instead of, it's not the house. There was always an easier, efficient way to build a house, and I think we're going to go back to that process. So What
about people that don't have a house? Will they be able to get a house?
I believe they will, and I believe they'll be very,
because I'm one of them.
It has everything stabilized in it, and it's self-efficient and everything. I don't think in any way that we're going to go down that path, what man has done before, and turn their cheek on animals and mankind, and the needs of shelter, the needs of food, the needs of feeling warm or having a meal. Animals are able to sustain that and survive in that and find a way. And so we've just had those rights kind of taken away, and suburbed everybody and got them codependent on the system.
Yeah. It was easy to do the way it was all set up. They really set it up in they infiltrated slowly and very effectively. It's asking, you have a question up there, Jenny, do you still sense the storms and flooding hitting the coastal states you mentioned?
Yes, that is part of the process. It's going to happen. There's no way it can be avoided.
Do you think it's going to happen this month, or can we not say any time?
I think it has to happen this season, is what I would tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I have a couple other questions here. I'll just read it. I'll just read this. I heard some advice that seems prudent. Make sure you have a hard copy of your assets, like a recent bank statement, title deed. When the system goes down, how do you defend what's yours?
Well,
Who's gonna
most
try to?
people, the taxes they're paid on the property. I mean, those are records, and some of those are documents in written records and logs. So it's, and that's what I
Haven't they
told
mirrored
people. This is the thing people need to think about. If you're making appointments, you better be moving to a notebook, a calendar book, because you're not going to be able to access those either. People are not going to be able to access their agenda or anything like that. If you've got documentation on anything computerized, you need to download it and put it on paper or print it up before it does go down. Just like when you make appointments, you better have that in writing everywhere.
What kind of appointments are you referring to? Are you
any type of
referring to
appointments
something
that you're made with
recently?
people? If they're putting into a computer system, that's going to be gone.
What's going to happen with the? Do you have any idea what's going to happen with the court system and the jails?
Bye-bye. In a different way, and it's going to run a different way, and it's going to be a lot of technology that's going to not make the errors that the humans do, because a computer is not run by ego. So I already
They
told
do
you,
more harm than good. Yeah,
I
they
know.
do more harm.
So all these police officers that don't adjust to the new program, they're going to be on, and then about 20%, 25% need to go anyway because they're crooked and they're working for the Masons. So, I mean, it's just all around a big issue, what's going on.
Here's a question for you. Will the welfare system go away too?
Yes.
It won't be needed.
No, not at all.
Actually, the welfare system was a way of keeping down, not ever able
Right.
to get out of that cycle of poverty.
Well, I'd like to see what they're going to do to Child Protective Services. I think they're going to hang them high too.
They need to be hung high. They've been setting children up for years.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then looking the other way and just allowing that to happen. It's just unhuman in every way.
And there's financial incentives to placing these kids in.
I don't, I'm starting to wonder because, do people have souls? Do you understand that is all going to be seen for those judgments that you make or what you do? You can't hide it. The afterlife is not going to be good to you.
Let's see here. Here's another question. The Florida Keys. Somebody's asking about Florida Keys. You mentioned
that
underwater.
is going to be part of that process of that water overcoming that area. So it starts from Florida and then goes to Louisiana and Texas. I've always said that that's going to go in that direction.
How much did you have maps of that? How much of the water? How much of the?
That's on Instagram and my Patreon.
Oh, okay.
Patreon's the best because it has detailed information in there.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, here this is the same question again. Coastal flooding. That's what we're talking. East or West Coast or both?
I'm just seeing a bunch of wind on, New York, down to North Carolina, all that stuff. But I'm seeing the Keys. They're Pacific on the Keys. They're Pacific on Louisiana, and they're Pacific on Texas.
Okay. So what about the area of Washington, D.C.? And
I just saw wind up in those areas. There's like I said, there's something in New York. Well, they were talking about that scope and that Pacific dream that I saw. So what it was is by the Eiffel Tower and New York in that river, the ocean, and something coming down from the sky. And it looks like rods of God type of energy. You're just seeing this and they look like storms that are going to be created, but they're going to do something different. And it goes all the way into the water. It's not a negative thing, but I think it is something that's important to see, they're saying. So they're not showing me it's something that's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. But I definitely believe this is going all the way from above, all the way down into the ocean, down to the center of Earth. So I believe it's an important part. So they showed me that, and they showed me the scope of it. They were very specific on where it's going to be.
And that was New York, you said.
Yeah, right in between the Eiffel Tower and New York.
Well, one of the things that I was wondering is I've heard this before, was that the rods of gods would be used on places like where there's obelisks and that were satanic.
Yes,
censors.
and they showed me. I talked about the giants, and one of them they said that one giant was held down on this earth underneath a volcano, and that was one they wanted to recover. And I think those are already being used and already being seen. I think some of these high voltage looking storms you're seeing them. So I feel that happened. That started maybe a month and a half ago that they started that. And so I believe that that's happening. And so it's going to build up it's going to come down lower and lower, and you're going to see more. But then they're showing me that there's some activity that has to happen in the ocean and down below. And then a lot of stuff that's in Antarctica.
Yeah, can we talk about that? Area. What do you see up there? Do they have
a bunch of ruby rivers?
Yeah, what is that? What is that?
But yeah.
Why is it red? And why is it?
Because it's a frequency energy with it, and then there's a value of it. So they showed me that. And so I think there's a lot of things in Antarctica, especially in those white pyramids they show that are futuristic pyramids. With pyramids, you gotta always look at things in threes. When they're in threes, there's a power source in between all three of them that's really strong, and they showed me that too. So they're white, they're very futuristic that they're showing me, and there's a lot of stuff that still has to surface to the top, And I remember I told you that they showed me everything is this planet's in a plate, and when those plates start to shift, go back to the original point. Where they show some islands will disappear and some will be created. You'll see come from the ice and go back to its original point. So there's just a lot of things that.
So are we going to see land mass changes? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, major land mass changes.
Major.
And then
now. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt because I was thinking when you said that landmass changes, that what came to mind is people have been talking about the Carrington event is due again. They had something like that in the 1800s.
But the problem is humans look at things as time, and Spirit goes, we do not register with your time. We register with events and frequency and energy, and so graphs of solid and positive and negative. That's the whole thing. Is the problem with most people is they keep going by that date. And that's why you see a lot of these intel people, and they're just spinning the same information. They're not getting it from anywhere else. They're just trying to get as much as they can to spin it. But they don't go by dates. It's about things that are checked off a list and that are done and that they're solid and the energy's behind it. And that's why this July 1st came, and I was like, I kept hearing from everybody, but I'm like, that strong frequency energy that I get when something's solid and it's going to come in vast and hard, it wasn't there. And I was like, no, I'm not going with this because it's not there. And that's like when the night in 2016, when the election, and that energy that was that strong, what you felt that night, that's the energy I'm talking about. That they showed me. You watch. It's going to come in strong, and no one's going to understand how it's going to happen. I'm going to tell you the same situation, that same energy is going to push us into that frequency and the abundance. It has to be felt. It has to be known. It has to be feeling that energy that's there. So that's the whole thing. I would tell you it's not dates. It's not dates. It's seasons, and balances. You feel a balance of an energy. and things are close, I mean, you can feel that balance very strong, and that strength, it feels like there's a giant behind you. I'm telling you, that's when you're going to know. And I'm the same energy that you saw in that election is going to be the same energy that's going to push this into where we have to go into the 4D. Completely. It's the same.
So do you think it's going to be an event that's going to create that feeling? Or is it from the wave that's going to be
It's
coming?
not the event of, say, like one event. It's a situation that has built to each level up to that we're at. It's the point that everything in 3D is going to completely go down. And when the lights come back on, it'll be a new world across the board on what they're doing.
Totally.
I believe this whole process is like happens at night a lot, and things are processed and put in place like a fine chess piece. And you know, it's funny, since I started this, I've come to people, across people, and they're like, well, I'm King David, and I'm going to be the ruler of this world, and I'm this guy. And I'm like, I can't believe how many people think, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be no kings. There's no queens. That's a 3D process. And if it was, they would be already one in that process and is probably already in that position of that chair. Shepherd. So no one else, it's not something that is driven in something within the last 5 years. This is something that they chose a long time ago before we were even seated on this planet, who that was going to be.
Wow.
So, and the knowledge that they sustain these beings that could be in that position, they have no fear. They see things directly through everything, and they make it make sense, and they can talk to people, and they can communicate to people, and they're humble about things. It's about the collective of taking care and being the shepherd. That's what's going to happen. And you already know who it is.
I've heard you describe Trump as a shepherd.
He is. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it stays that way.
Do you see anything on the Mississippi River?
Artifacts hidden. Is there going to be some? I say this.
They have had events in the past.
I know, but they're showing me the upper part of Mississippi is going to have more flooding areas than the lower part. So there's going to be some situations with that.
Is the water going to flow up, down?
Well, they're showing me it's going more up, like where I'm, like in North Dakota area and stuff like that. So Minnesota, Mississippi River going towards those directions so up towards my direction versus down by the south. So I'm just telling you.
Interesting. Okay. Let's see. I don't know if you have the answer to this question, but this is kind of 3D thinking, though. What will happen if you pay ground rent for the land your home is on, even though you own the home? Will that go away?
I don't know how they're going to supplement the ones that already paid off their home and everything is done. You have to understand that you're basically shutting down a whole different world. Okay? We're starting from a clean slate of rules, laws, and ethics but humanity. It's about humanity. It's about the animals and the humans serving as one, so those can be in society together and work together, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So you have to understand, forget about 3D. Forget about the laws, forget about all that stuff, because that's going to be shut down. When the power goes down, that whole system is not going to be a part of you.
They're not going to have to worry about it, so don't worry about it. everybody's going to have an abundant life, as I understand it, or is that,
Well, the ones that did good and took care of their country and did this world good, but the ones that didn't, they're going to know what it feels like to struggle.
well, good, they should.
Yeah, they should.
Okay, the chapter.
You guys, this is the thing I want to tell people. They need to go see that movie, but let me explain something to you. The heartache, the pain, the suffering of those children. I want you to understand that accumulates into an energy. Okay? And as that's consistently fed and as it feeds that energy and now that pain and that suffering, and you have humanity out here and they're not paying attention, they're occupied other things. But I'm going to tell you, that energy of that suffering, that pain has to hit humanity. That has to come to everybody's mind and understand that, because you will not learn from our mistakes of making these mistakes by not seeing it for yourself. You won't be able to run from it. You're going to have to deal with it face to face in each soul, in each situation that we turned our backs on it. I'm telling you, there is not a soul on this earth that's going to be able to not face it. You have to. You have to. And when that energy is accumulated, it's just like spirits. They want to be noted for how they died, or that they died for something that was a cause, or to remember what they went through and the pain and the suffering, because that is why spirits stick around, because they think they are lost and no one knows. So that, I'm going to tell you, when this is all ended, they need to have a holiday for child trafficking, of remembering the souls that sacrificed and went through the suffering. If there's any holiday that needs to be created, it is that holiday, because they need to be remembered. And so we don't forget. We celebrate their life, but it's important to know this. So that, because I've worked in missing persons, I know, generally of how many bodies are hidden. That's just the ones that are hidden. And, and everything's, and that has to resurface too. And so what I'm telling you, that energy wants to be free, and all that stuff of acknowledging the suffering. It's just like the Twin Towers. We need something to establish the memory of those children, every one of them. Because when this thing happened in New York, when they started pulling bodies out, people were occupied what was going on in the world, and I was occupied. That Spirit said to me, Jen, those souls are hiding in the walls. They're afraid to go into the light because they don't want to be used again after they've died. And so it's bad enough you've been abused, and then you pass on, and then you have to wonder about your soul being caught in a different way. That's the first thing that I saw. And that energy, in the way it had to be sent back, and how it's delicate in a different way, in a collective way, So I'm just telling you, there's a lot of things that we have to address and be honest. Honest.
Right. And people turning their head to this and saying they don't want to see, they don't want to hear. Oh, that's not true. That's a conspiracy theory. That's what, I mean, addressing this, like you said, the horrors of abuse. I mean, this isn't just, slapped around kind of abuse. It goes much, 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 much deeper than that. It's absolutely horrific, beyond most people's comprehension. And it's why it has to be acknowledged, and it's why they would be hiding in the walls, just like you said. When you find out, you will be shocked and horrified, if you don't already know. And I can agree with you more. It has to be acknowledged. It has to be. You can't change it. You can't fix it until it's at least acknowledged and recognized.
Right.
And that's what the sound of freedom is, something that begins to open your eyes.
Right.
And that's not any means the worst of it.
No, it's not. And that's what I'm saying. And that's such a negative energy that the every second suffering, and that bursts an energy into the atmosphere, and you want to, at the point where that ends, the energy needs to be flipped into light in a different way. And the only way that can happen is people acknowledging who they are, what they went through, and that their soul is valued for what they were here on earth and what happened to them. And that has to be universal knowledge of that. And then from that point, universally, we can move on. But it has to be remembered. It has to be always remembered and respected for that. So, and it's hard because, the thing that I feel, if I had the right funds for a humanity project, all I would do is get 2 vans, 4-wheelers, computers, drones, high technology for surveying lands and everything, and digging up all these bodies that were hidden and going after it. Because we have a lot to resurface. You guys, the problem is, it's not just everything starts after everything is changed. There's real work now that we can do it and get to it. It has to be recovered. It has to be surfaced to the top, and the truth has to be seen across the board.
How bad it really was. That's the other thing. I don't think many realize how horrific and how bad it really was. I mean, how do you explain? I mean, even right now, from across the border, over 85,000 children are unaccounted for. They have no.
And that's what I'm saying.
Records.
Because that makes them insignificant. Do you understand? By their laws, by not noticing their names, they're nothing to them. It makes that way. And that's why it has to be acknowledged in a different way of who they were. And not by a number, not by a name, but by a soul that was suffering. So
now, there are some people that said these souls signed contracts to have this happen. What do you say about that?
No. No one signs a contract to go through something like that. That's horrific.
Thank you.
There's
I've heard that before.
Sorry.
Come on.
That's a 3D concept, but yeah, no. That is and I've seen it where I've seen demons talk about they've chased souls through several dimensions, and that's why they're pretty bad when they catch up with them. But it's not a contract in that way at all. Okay. So that would be a whole different subject we have to go into.
Yeah, that's that story where you pick your parents, you pick your things that you're going to do in the lifetime ahead of time. And I'm going, why would anybody, agree to that type of...
I don't think that it's that part of it. I actually believe on how we were seated here, our path of the blocks that were going to be in our path, the challenge that were going to be on our path, were set to make our character into who we are. And that those are not mistakes. Those are written strengths that created you into a better person. And your knowledge is stronger from that. And not until you get through something in life, you can look back and understand the path where you are now, but that got you there. It got you the knowledge and the understanding. And so we're at a point right now that you can look back and seeing how hard it is and everything you went through and the jobs you picked and the people you chose to love and don't love now. That was your path that was chosen to make you stronger. It is not a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's part of the path that they see you accomplish and get past it and learn from it. Mm-hmm. This planet
it broadens your horizons is another way of putting it. And when you have these experiences.
And it replaces fear if you get within that path and understand that walking through the fire is part of it.
Okay, here's another question. It's not as related, but what do you see happening with the airline industry, and what will happen with the VAX pilots? Do you think there will be a shortage in the future?
I think it'll change overnight. They'll be like, hey, those are so old. We should have got rid of them 150 years ago. But hey, here's the new line of flight
for your Stargate or portal.
Yeah. I think it's going to be very fast, but I do think trains are going to be evolving in a different way. But I do already believe that they have these new type of flying systems. I would say that.
Okay. Somebody's asking, what did you mean by dry eye? And what she meant by that is, you see the movie, you're gonna get teared up. It's pretty hard not to.
If someone goes see this movie and they're not crying, I'm like, you're gonna get a soul. There's just no way. There's just no way. You can't sit there. And I'm seeing men blubber out of the theater on these things, and they're strong guys. I'm just telling you, if someone is just cold-hearted and they're just looking at you like, let's go, you're like, oh, I need to get away from you. I'm just telling you.
Okay. Oh, that's funny. Okay. That's the one. Let me see if there's any other question. Sage is saying something about, where did it go? Water will shift. What is
that's because of the plates in the earth. You know, like I said, there's plates that are going to shift, and the water is going to shift. But there is water created in areas that were never supposed to be water. And that is like Africa. And that's because of they're showing me that plate that's shifted, and then all this ice and rejuvenation flowing a different way and is lined up the right way, and there's water going to be there. So, I mean, that's the whole thing. And it's so funny how we think we know everything. I tell you, on this planet. And let me tell you, I think everybody
don't know
knows
anything.
about 25% of what's really going on with this planet inside it.
Okay. Is this somebody from Australia? I can't tell for sure. I'm thinking we're really close, as we see so many U.S. military all around Australia, many aircraft, helicopters, and their ships in all our ports and on the ground movements.
Yes.
So,
I believe they're very close too. Very close. You know what? I think one is going to be one of the last ones, which I think they have got their head in the sand deeply. And it was just because the programming is Canada. I mean, that's going to be a hard crowd to understand. And I mean in the way that it's going to hit them full force.
well, I heard that this has already taken out, the shot has already taken out like 35,000 Canadians. And they were pretty much forced.
Mm-hmm.
Which is sad. But so what kinds of, what exactly do you mean about Canada that way? I mean, I guess it's worse than
I just believe, and they've always showed me that Canada's the last one, that just that stage of enlightenment, Canada, because they had such an idiot as a diplomat, whatever you want to call him.
Justin,
and
can't be any worse than Biden.
He's a turd is what he is, a turd.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot that they're dead in the water on this whole obvious program. And then there's a lot of Canadians that are out on the outskirts seeing the truth, and they're going to be like, we just can't wait till it hits you in the face. And honestly, they're ready for it. They're going to sit there and watch, because they dealt with some tough issues going through this process too. And the ones that were awake were not listened to at all.
Ain't that typical? Okay. Somebody's asking too, here we go. Is there 3 days of darkness or 10 days, or I've heard both.
I believe I think it's in regions. And it's just like
Yeah.
you would say here, I don't think you're going to get the resistance in the red states. They're going to be cooperative. I believe that your resistance will be in the inner cities. And that's where you're going to see the longest. There's not even a battle, and just a resistance a little bit, and they'll deal with them in the way they need to. Taking out the internet, with these young children is alone just killing them as it is. I mean, they have no internet connection and they can't text their friends. Or play their games. It's gonna, you're dealing with that adolescence type of mindset. They that alone they can't handle. They can't even handle working. So I'm just telling you, it's not like a little physical war, because they'll give away at any moment. And I don't believe that they know that their leaders are already gone. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Okay. Well, something this awareness is key. It's just like the outages. Don't you think that's going to be sporadic too?
Yes, I do.
Here,
Yes.
here. Not necessarily. Everybody sees it as all at once. And
no, it's going to be rolling.
That's what it's going to happen. Okay. I guess there's been some. I saw a picture of some. There have been some outages in some states already.
Yeah. And you should,
know,
what you need to do if you're seeing those outages, put a map up there and start to put pins on those areas. And I'm going to show you, you're going to see a consistency. So someone needs to be tracking this and mapping those outages, and you're going to start to figure out a pattern with things and where they're at and those regions. And then looking on the outside of the cities, I'm sure within the cities there, it's going to be worse.
Well, I'm going to have to throw this question out. Do you believe that America will go back to a constitutional republic? Or is that 3D?
I do, but that's going to lead into a council.
Oh, okay.
The council, and I believe that we're going to a universal council. So it's a stepping stone
to get there.
The titles is not the thing. It's what it does. It brings freedom for animals, humanity, and a level of balance together, and not having the rich and the poor and the mid-class. It's a clean slate across the board, valuing every soul in a balance point and completely dissolving ego, which needs to be important, because in the collective, they all work as one. And each one has an ability of the light that brings together the information. There's no competitiveness. It's just a balance of trueness. And I can't wait till we get to that point. We're, the UFO community. I'm the one that everybody can listen to because I have the answer. Nope. It's a collective. It's always been a collective. And, so I would say, anything that has power, it would be elders. So, yes, awareness is an important key.
Yeah, here's another little comment. You mean that these souls were afraid of the reincarnation?
No, it had nothing to do with reincarnation. The odd energies that were down there with them were just waiting for them to release up, and then they would use that energy and sustain that soul. So it's kind of like Ghostbusters, where you see them catching that soul and then containing it and using it for themselves. So it's bad enough that you die and you suffer, but then the soul is the biggest value. Why it's in the body, it is the parts of the body, but the biggest value on any negative energy is that soul. And so brick is something that spirits can hide in and negative can't get past. And they showed me. And so imagine sustaining and holding themselves within these walls until they saw something that would actually bring them out. And I was seeing couple of them, and gobs of them. And as they saw these soldiers, it was a sad situation. And I mean in the way that when you feel like there's no one's ever going to come save you. But can you imagine passing on and then worrying about your soul on top of that, them trying to dismantle that? And it's just another horror comes to us, but we don't think about that, but it is true. But again, people in the Matrix were thinking the same light. After you go up, you're going to follow the same light, and you shouldn't. As I always tell people, you need to look for a different light. Don't go into the one that everybody's following through. So, and now I teach that. I mean, it's confusing right now because people don't understand, but this happens. And so, when you're feeling that, when you're having dreams about it, when you're seeing it. But anyway, those soldiers, with them coming down in that area, some of those light souls of those children were able to feel like free enough to leave. And then some other beings were sent down there to assist them.
I think even the soldiers were traumatized from what they saw.
Yes.
I mean, that's how horrific it is, and that's what people don't want to see. Now, I would like to know, did you get a chance to see the documentary called Cages?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, it's specifically about the state of Arizona, and I was wondering if you've gotten any information about Maricopa County or anything in Arizona.
No, but I can remote view that and look at it. I mean, next time we talk, we can go into that.
That would be great. I would really like to see that, because if you should watch this video. This guy does a great job. Well, it's a good job of exposing what's going on in the state of Arizona, and there's a lot of corruption beyond belief, and a lot of human and child trafficking. That's
right.
Just
it's sad, and I think with spiritually, stuff that worked in 3D is not working in the same way, and that's why with these spiritual people, they should be tapping into the higher energy and understanding that a lot of things have changed. And so the reincarnation is done. And I mean, in the fact that that's a 3D process. It's not the fact that that someone went in and shut it down. It's just, we're not in that process. And so, and that's over and done with. But I mean, we're still like, again, I believe, and they've told me, we're not taking our flesh, bone, and blood, this body, into the next process, because it's not going to sustain in those environments of what we're becoming, and we don't need it. And it's just amazing how they're still trying to tell people that that's going to happen. And I don't know a lot of humans that want to keep it in the first place. Everybody would want a brand new one, but it's just when you, I know the answer is 2. I mean, when you channel or get information, you're not seeing any humans up there that look like humans. They're all looking like light beings and light frequency, because they're not up there in that flesh body. So
they're kind of transparent.
Yes, it's very transparent, very light. It's like a jellyfish with light surrounded around it. So, but some people are, when I say that limited veil of understanding, they only want to understand. I'm talking about some of these teachers at their level, and they can't explain that beyond that. But, and that's where you have to, work on it.
Yeah, this is, I agree with Kevin here. This is a momentous time in Earth's history. We've all won the proverbial lottery by getting the opportunity to be here and witness what's about to happen.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, everything about it, this is the thing I'm going to explain to you. When we change into 4D and 5D, it is not something that you're going to feel in a physical way. It's like waking up and you're not feeling pain. You're not feeling suffering. Your whole vessel feels different. and you're in different energy and colors change and frequency change, it's not a painful process at all. At all. So how do I explain? There's different languages of light that will come through you. There's your memory from beyond will be reinstated of your higher self. So we have a blocked memory that has been suppressed for so long, and then all that energy and everything's going to come back into the conscience again. And that's where you start to remember being somewhere or knowing something, and in this lifetime not even recognizing, and you have to just stand outside the box and going, this is a memory from a higher place. So yeah.
This question comes up a lot, and I would like to hear your explanation for it. And that is, if God Source wanted to experience all life, how would Source allow the suffering of these innocents if it was not karma and the choice of the soul prior to incarnation? Oh, please.
It is not. Okay, first of all, you cannot blame God, because the human's conscience has not evolved. And that's the whole thing about this. Is the thing is, we were given free will and a path, and we chose to ignore it. This is where you go into that everybody wants to be saved. It's not going to happen that way. You're always given a path, a decision, and consciously, how did this happen? Because people ignored. You had free will to look at it, but you decided not to. So to put this on God is completely lazy. And so it's painful. You have to understand that children are the most innocent thing. The soul of that is the most innocent thing. So for the negative, that is the biggest ammo to use against God, because that is the most innocent thing to use against God, and does suffer, and does suffer in some way of creator in that creation. And so it's not it's a collective of looking the other way.
Maybe I'm misinterpreting this as I read it, but it says suffering of these innocents if it was not karma and the choice of the soul product. Karma. So you actually think there'd be some kind of karma on a child, an innocent child, that's why they have to suffer like that? Are you serious?
I know, right? It's just ridiculous.
All I can do is shake my head about that one.
I know, you're like,
whoa.
Boy, you need to read some spiritual books. Yeah. So yeah.
Let's see if I can find any other. Okay, what they're asking it will California and New York get devastated?
There's going to be some, and I think that's after they move the people out of the cities on certain areas, that I do see areas crumbling because of this effect of the surface changing. But I already told you, California on that coastline is going to be gone anyway because of the soil, the depth of the soil, the levels of the soil, and how it doesn't have any structure underneath it no more. And it's just not sustainable no more. It's like a soup.
I lived in the Marina Del Rey area in California, and they used to say that particular area, that it was just what you just said. There wasn't anything solid under there.
No.
So that's going to wash away so easily, it's not even going to be funny.
Yeah, that's what Spirit showed me. It's like, it's not good, because it's they showed me in levels. They showed me the rock level, the dark sand level, the more of a gravel area, but the only solid areas they showed me were towards the mountains and having these slides that go into the ocean. And then underneath those structures they built underneath, like Hollywood and all that stuff, it's just going to start
Do they have tunnels
world.
underneath there too?
Yeah, massive ones.
Oh my God, it figures. It just figures. And then I heard the other day that there are tunnels under the Statue of Liberty too.
Yeah.
That's just totally mocking us. Total mocking. Oh my
The
God.
unreal is real. That's what I tell people. We've been told that that's unreal. Well, you need to start to look at that a different way and understand that it is real.
Do you have any idea what percentage of the population of humanity is awake at this point?
Jeez, about 35%.
Is that all?
I'm sorry.
Do we have to wake up the other non?
No, we're at a point that no.
Okay.
They need the Band-Aid
Not the
ripped off. Like just rip it off. We're at that point.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, so it is small. So I personally think one of the problems is they not truth, and that includes the white hats. I think we need more truth. People resonate with truth. They're still basing their perceptions on lies. And
But you know what?
big
This is the thing,
problem.
the problem with that. As you see in
What's
the in so-called the intel community, and this is I tell people, they are not Navy officers, they're not commanders talking to these people. They do not leak those details because it would jeopardize everything. They know well enough to keep their mouth shut. So I don't care what any show that's on there. I don't care if they're Navy SEALs. I don't care. They're not getting the information because that would jeopardize the mission. They are shutting their mouths.
Okay.
They're shutting their mouths. And they're not going to start talking about this until they're done with the mission.
And are they near that?
Yes, I believe they are. I feel it. And the way that I feel it is I believe they are.
Okay. Somebody's asking, is Chicago first?
It's one of them. It's on the list. Trust me.
Yeah, Chicago's bad. Oh my. I don't know if I want to put this one up or not. Here, this is someone that's saying that you're wrong. Yeah, well, this on YouTube, so we have to be careful what we say. But you have to be aware that there were batches of saline solution.
There are batches, but most of it was in the VA system.
The saline?
Yep.
Or what are you talking?
So, and it depends on what state you are. It depends on an area that, and especially if they were giving you a bonus to take the shot in a very area of like New Orleans, I'm sure and guarantee you they were not pushing the vaccination down the streets of Hollywood. The same vaccination they were pushing in New Orleans. So you have to go look in your, okay, sorry. You need to go and you have to look at the areas and again, take a map where you're seeing different vaccinations in different areas. You can map it down, but you're going to have to look at it.
Well, anyway, this person says that they're wide awake and they're not a lost soul and blah, blah, blah.
Okay, well, that's their veil of understanding.
I'm just going to scroll through and see if we have any other questions that we need to answer. Tell them to get ready for grab their energy. Okay, maybe you can answer this one. The question, what you said about the souls being trapped. But the soul is created in the image of our creator. It's untouchable. How could these souls be trapped by evil?
They can, just like demons can take over souls too. I mean, you have to understand a child is innocent. And there's energy weapons and there's different type of beings that can see these and use. The whole thing about this, your value, it's not your body that they are after. They're after the soul. And that's what certain people, sign a contract, and that's what they want, is that soul. So creators at a certain level looking down and seeing those decisions. But I'm telling you that there has to be a certain level of understanding. He's not going to save us all. We have to save ourselves. You can't sit back and just expect him to do everything. Let me tell you, because if you look in history, why didn't it happen then? Why didn't it happen then? Because all those had to be lessons we had to go through, period, across the board. So the value is the soul. In this universe, it is the soul. Sorry, my dog needs to be out. Hold on one second.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's a very 3D concept to the bigger energy of all creation. It's easier to blame him than to look in the mirror or reflect on ourselves.
When we have an essence of the divine.
Yes, we do have the essence. We do have the essence. And that's the one thing the negative doesn't like about us, because we do have that. And that's what they despise. But again, we still have to help ourselves. And so it's down to, how could have this changed? How could this changed? We would have been more aware. We would have paid attention to everything that we were supposed to be paying attention to. We would have watched our children better. We would have seen that they were programmed. So it's us. You can't use playing stupid as like, well, why can't something bigger and that's more of a creation and they take care of it and they do the work? No, or you're never going to learn. The lesson on this earth is to step up.
Do what you can. Here's someone that's just based on what you were saying. Thousands of Hawaiian warriors that were run off a cliff in Maui were stuck spirits, and this person helped with getting them home and the process took months. So
right, it does. It's not overnight.
These horrific types of death are not, or seems to be the types of things that trap souls.
Right. Yeah, they're watching too much TV on how things work, and it's a process, and it's an energy that's lifted, and it's energy that's able to open, and you can feel it ascend. But it's not like a TV show where it just happens and the show's over and it's done. It doesn't work that way.
Okay. Here's another one for it. How will the body transition?
Okay. So the whole thing is there's going to be a different energy that comes in, and it's going to change your soul and your conscience. And that's going to evolve. And like I said, that numbness of light that's going to come in, this awning feeling that's going to come into the soul, this, this activity that activates your conscience, your pineal gland, and everything. And then that higher self of the knowing is going to come in. So, and the biggest thing is you will not see or sense fear and everything, even with the view that you can see through things more. So, like I said, it's like coming through a dream and feeling like this is unreal, but then you are in it. That's
it's not changing. A painful process, right?
It's like waking up from a dream. And it's all almost like when the dead, the past loved ones get on the other side and they're like, I don't feel pain. I don't feel suffering. I feel just this light coming in. I feel this vibration. That's what they describe. I feel, I can do anything. So that's the thing that changes. You have to see, and I teach this as I teach, separate the flesh body from the soul. When you separate those, the soul is limitless. It can ascend. It can do things that it wants to, if it knows the direction to go in. And for like kids, if they are stuck in fear and their whole soul has been traumatized, they're going to do what their body did. They're going to hide somewhere, and they're afraid, and they're not going to move because they don't know where to go. And that's why they were stuck for so long. They needed to be led. So that's the whole thing about this is it's not a painful process in any way.
Somebody is
It's
reporting
it's like allowing light in and accepting that light.
Teresa's reporting that she's feeling shifts in body and energy daily, having some interesting euphoric moments with memories not in this realm. That's interesting. More of that type of thing, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Should be interesting.
Dreams are going to get like very detailed and just like you think you're watching a movie. And that's what I feel like. It's like going from black and white to this massive color.
I'm wondering why I don't get much in the way of
Spirit doesn't like the name, those med beds. They don't call it that because it has nothing to do with meds. So they high frequency
quantum healing.
Quantum healing. Not they hate that name, by the way.
Okay, that's good. I don't like it either. It sounds medical, which is going away, right?
Right.
Well, somebody's asking about what about the voice of God on people? Boy, we could go
Creator.
on and on here. It's getting long.
What about the voice of Creator? Because there were gods here, and Creator is the only one and only.
Yeah, there's a difference. Yeah. A lot of times it's we've been so programmed in our words and stuff. Like when I say God, I really mean I mean source, the creator of my soul.
Right.
I don't mean some other demigod or the God.
So everybody when talks about that, this is the thing. Do you remember the picture of Creator in his hand? It only takes him a second to activate what he has in his power of his finger into you. It is not something that is hard. It will come online within seconds. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. When you see that it is just a touch. It is just a instantaneously energy that can move into you, that you are connected to him. You need to remember that.
Okay. Freedom Glory is saying that I have read spiritual books since I was 10 years old and never stopped. And that would be 60 years ago. Maybe you did not understand my question correctly. Now, what question was that? I got to look it back up. Which question was that? Was that about the children?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's probably way back. I don't know where that is anymore, so I can't.
Well, he can repost it.
Yeah, you'd have to repost it because there's a whole scroll here and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time because we're running up on almost an hour and a half here. So we're going to probably have to do this again.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. I can't believe that much time has passed.
I know. It's a lot of information. But like, again, too, as I'm teaching classes on this one-on-one, and then, I got all the predictions are in my Patreon now because it's easier to keep everything detailed in there. And then they can comment and ask questions and keep up to par on those situations. So,
I post more in my Patreon too than I do in anywhere else, really, as much as I can anyway. Let's see if there's anything else here before we go up. So let's see if this last one is here. So is 4D something like Casper the Friendly Ghost? Is our body the same or rebuilt?
It is that way. I want you to think of a jellyfish, an elusive energy with no weight, and you can. It's like you're part of the air, you're part of the wind, and you gotta understand that nature's a part of that same frequency. We're in a system of a collage of energy. And when we accept all of it, we become it. And it's just, people understand what is inside you that's part of Creator is part of that same frequency. So we have to start, we were told, well, you can't see it, you can't believe it. Well, you know what? You have to start believing, and then you watch it come to life. And that was the whole thing of trust and building up that way, because everybody has a certain veil of understanding. You have to build up on your veil of understanding and seeing things in the original form that they are. And a lot of things up there do not look like humans. And you have to accept that change and that difference. And then things will open up because you want to see them for the original spirit that they are, the original form that they are. And let your conscience accept that. And that's what it's about, sharing that universally in that universal energy as one.
Okay. Now someone's asking, when shut down, will they be getting arrested? Will they arrest aliens? I think is what they mean. Aliens. I don't know what that.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what you're getting at there.
Yeah. Shut your man on that one.
You mean illegal aliens, immigrants? Or, I don't know. Anyway, that's this. Many false trying to appear real, been going on like new agers for some time. Many rampant lately too. Just discern and know what feels true. Some there learn what isn't. Did you see that video of the woman on American
Yes, I
Airlines
believe it's true, but this is going to tell you something.
Okay.
I don't think it was a reptilian, and I don't think it was a shapeshifter. I believe, here we go with what happened. That gets to a certain accumulation, and it changes your body. And that's what I think it was. It just happened to change in that process. And that person is not the same person playing. So it changed.
You mean the woman or the guy?
The guy.
Oh. Okay.
I believe that she saw something. I do believe she saw something.
Okay. Okay. You're not undermining what she saw or said.
No, not at all. I believe she did.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And then, so like, I think the thing to look forward to in the future is literally watch them put up fences outside the cities. And then you're going to know what to expect. And then get books, get DVDs. You're going to have to get your child prepared for not having any type of entertainment and board games and reading. And you have to go back the way you were raised and do it that way for a while.
And so there won't be any phones or internet to be used. So you're going to need books and so on to read, something to keep you occupied.
Yes.
The way we used to play card games, when we were young. And there's all kinds of different games, but and the thing about that is it brings families closer together.
Right. It does.
Because you're actually on connection rather than the other. So, and
right.
I would very much like to have you remote view Arizona and let me know what you find out, and we'll schedule another show in a week or two.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. And I mean, because I have a lot of information coming in. It's just a lot of my stuff is on Instagram. So, I mean, and they can send messages over that direction and my website and all that stuff too. But, we're in the thick of it, and you have to look at a 4D veil of understanding and a 3D. 3D is just falling apart. Nothing sticks. There's no foundation. Nothing effectively works in the process no more. And so you need to focus on the 4D, the new process, and accept what needs to happen.
Yes, because it's going to be so much better for everybody if you just let it happen. It's going to collapse around us first.
Right.
And so be strong, be brave, and know that we win in the end. But you got to do your part too. I can't emphasize that enough.
No one is going to carry you. You have to carry your own strength, your own pattern, your own instinct in the right direction.
Alrighty then. Do you have anything else? Any closing remarks, Jenny?
Stay in the light and start to listen to your inner voice and rely on that right now, because that is going to get you through this. You all have the capability of doing that. You don't need anybody to show you to do that. You can do that.
Yes. So be the best you can be and help others. And remember, they're your brothers and sisters. And we'll see you again soon.
Take care.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for
Bye.
watching. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our